you for staying with us on Journalist Hangout on Sunday. The master himself, Babajide Kolade Otitoju, will be joining us all the way from Maiduguri in Borno State. Now, Ondo State, southwest Nigeria, is agog with the return of the governor from medical leave abroad. Residents and politicians have continued to express joy over the return of Governor Rotimi Akeredolu after 3 months' absence. The Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, led influx of goodwill messages for Governor Akeredolu. The governor has sent a letter to the State House of Assembly officially informing the lawmakers of his return and resumption to duty. Let's share the story with you. From TVC News, Ayodeji Radio.
For 3 months, Governor Rotimi Akeredolu was in Germany for medical leave. Governor Akeredolu embarked on the leave after transferring power to his deputy, Lucky Ayedatiwa, via a letter to the State House of Assembly on the 4th of June, in line with constitutional provision. On the 7th of September, the governor returned to Nigeria and met with aides and members of the State House of Assembly on Friday, 8th of September in Ibadan. At the meeting, he announced his official resumption. His return has continued to attract reactions from residents of the state and those in government who describe his recovery as defined.
I'm very, very happy. I know millions of Ondo State people and even Nigerians are happy that our Arakun is back. Not just back, he's back and better. We give thanks to Almighty God. We glorify his name for this grace, uncommon one.
You see, it's not everybody that will have this kind of challenge that will bounce back. So it's a manifestation of uncommon miracle, you understand? And it shows that Mr. Governor has been serving God meritoriously.
Mix him not only in the area of providing infrastructure or even the social contract is signed with the people of Ondo State, but for the fact that we miss his leadership. Governor Akeredolu is someone that speaks truth to power. He's a voice in the national polity.
Some urged him to swing into action and intensify efforts to complete ongoing projects and initiate new ones.
I expect the government to continue. Ijoka Road is under construction. Oda Road, the same thing. Then there are some projects which I like Oga to complete before he's going, like court premises.
When you visit the MDAs, the ministries, departments and agencies, you feel that the governor is not in the town. You feel it because the way the people even handle the assignment of the state, you can compare to when they know that there is the set man around who will supervise whatever they do, be it the commissioner or even civil servant.
The people are delighted with the governor's return and are hopeful that he will complete his mandate. Ayodeji Morade, your TVC News, Akure.
Arakuni Rotimi Akeredolu, he has been battling with his health for some time now, and a lot of people, when he left for that medical emergency and wrote to the State House of Assembly that he was stepping down, that he was going to allow his deputy to perform the function and everything. I was discouraged a little bit. I felt that, man, this might be the, very uncertain. But then, coming back now, he told the House of Assembly that he's ready to resume work immediately, and he's back.
I'm really happy for him. Quite happy. And what he did when he left was actually the right thing to do. But for some of us, we saw it as formality. Formality in the sense that we know that in every state, the governor is all in all.
De facto.
Is the de facto head. And in most cases, even when a governor or the president is away, in most cases, not in all cases, he's still the one who dictates what happens, or the person he trusts. Sometimes it could be the wife. Sometimes it could be
the secretary.
Somebody who is even way junior than the deputy governor. that will be completely in charge, or, you know, his son sometimes. So it depends. In some states in the past, we've heard of governors who were not available and their wives were the ones who took decisions, not even the deputy governor, not the SSG. So, but I'm happy he's back. And one thing is certain. What will be the focus now going forward will be the next governorship election in the states. But on a note of caution, I'll say to the governor, if he needs more rest, nothing stops him from taking a bow. And
let me pick it from there. Yeah. That if he needs more rest, a lot of people will say, look, my own life is more precious than that position or any position I'm occupying. So if I need to salvage anything, and so that the pressure of governance and everything will not complicate things for him. Some people are of the opinion that it's not a do or die thing. Why don't you just take a bow?
You see, that's the interesting thing. Globally, people are expected to, people in public offices are expected to be, to put themselves on a high pedestal so that people can look up to them. But the unfortunate thing in Nigeria is that it's actually a do or die for Nigerian politicians. You would expect that Akeredolu, senior advocate of Nigeria, would look at the law. Also look at what it costs the people of Ondo State to treat him, what it costs them to have to bear his absence from time to time, not just these 3 months. Anytime maybe he's unable to discharge his functions, in full bodily form, what it costs the people. But you see, people will tell you that, oh, is this right? Is this? But you have to look at the legality of the law and the morality. The fact of the matter is that if actually he knows the state of his health, between himself and his doctor, they know what the state of his health is. But if it has got to a point where he just has to take a bow, I think there might be the temptation to say, okay, what about the former President Buhari? He was in the UK for 103 days. What about this? What about that? There's a tendency to quote, after all, there was a former governor of Taraba State, Namaba Suntai, who was there. It's very easy to quote all of these things. But at the end, you must ask yourself a question. Are you serving the interests of the people of Ondo State and the people of Nigeria in the best form? It's up to him to answer. But if he knows that, well, he can still soldier on one way or the other, well, I wish him all the best. I congratulate him on his recovery. But I must say that Nigerian politicians cannot continue to subject the people to such avoidable pain because it costs money. When a mandate was handed over to you, and the people's mandate is not something to joke with. It's priceless. You cannot put a price on it. So definitely, if they feel they can trust you and not your opponents to run the state, then you must be in a full state of health to discharge those responsibilities. Otherwise, you step out. We should not always allow the Nigerian factor to dictate the way we do things. International best practices dictate that if there is a problem and it's such that the governor may need to be away from time to time, or he knows that he may not fully discharge his functions, it would only be in the best interest of the state, of himself, and the people of Nigeria for him to bow out.
But if you're there is a tendency that people will now sit tight, and the father figure, the man in charge, is around. That commissioners, even State House of Assembly, and civil servants, that there's a way they will react to this kind of development, that Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, after 3 months, is back, and this will spur up things in Ondo State.
This has made many people happy because the governor has really done well, both politically for his party and in terms of his infrastructure delivery, is done very well. In terms of security, no governor in the whole of Southwest has done what Akeredolu has done, because the Ondo State is the gateway to the Southwest. If not for the efforts of Amotekun, the Southwest would easily have been overrun. He took the Amotekun project on his head, he fought vigorously, and Amotekun in Ondo State is already a national symbol of the possibility of community policing succeeding on a big scale. I was the moderator on one of the sessions on security during the NBA conference. And the Amotekun commander was the Senosia of Ice. People were clapping for, people were hailing him based on the success story of Amotekun. I never believed that in Abuja, that man would be treated like a big hero the way he was treated. You know, in a gathering of generals, a gathering of so many soldiers, he was hailed for the success of Amotekun. And who made Amotekun possible is Akeredolu. Even when some of the Southwest leaders were playing politics with him, were vacillating, it was Akeredolu especially who pushed hard. Today, the Southwest is the safest geopolitical zone in our country. That is the only zone that the Americans, when they are giving their travel advisory, they never tell people not to go to the Southwest. That's the only zone that they don't want their people about traveling to. So I'm excited that he's back. And I know that Akeredolu is a decent person. If he wasn't sure that his health had improved, he would not have come home. After all, he transmitted power legally to his deputy. So for him to have come back, he must have felt that, look, I can get the job done. You know? So he's back. And all we can do is pray that God will strengthen him health-wise so that he can continue the good job that he started. Some places where they never thought they would see roads, Akeredolu has given them roads. And just as one of the guys that we spoke to said, he's a very strong voice in national politics. Remember the issue of power shift. Nobody put it on his head from this part of the country, from the southern part of the country like Akeredolu. He kept pushing the political leaders from northern Nigeria that it was time to allow power to go to the south. In fact, it almost led to a fight between him and Governor Rotimi at that time. So I'm happy he's back, and may God spare his life so that he can not just continue to be the good governor that he is, but he will continue to be a voice, a positive voice in our country.
All right. Now, the governor of Kwara State, North Central Nigeria,